Hey guys, welcome back to the Rockford Ordinance. It is January 17th, and what a week it's been, huh, boys and girls? Holy moly. I know we got a lot of listeners on here that live in the communist state of Illinois, and it really pains me to give, not because of you folks that live down there, but it pains me to give them any recognition whatsoever. I quit giving them tax dollars a couple of years ago. Although I do still own a property there, that's going to be gone as quickly as possible. I actually was going to go hunting, pheasant hunting down there this weekend. Got all the way to the hunt club, and they said, you need a Illinois hunting license. And I'm like, oh, darn, in Wisconsin at hunting preserves, you don't need a hunting license. I'd be happy to give it to Wisconsin. And I thought about it for a minute. I was about to do it. And I said, you know what, guys? I will meet you for lunch afterwards, but I'm not going to give this state $1. And I jumped back in my truck and I headed to town and I met them there for lunch afterwards. I refuse to give them anything. And why, you may ask? Well, last week's shenanigans are exactly why. We'll get into that if you folks want to. If not, we can avoid it completely. I'm sure you've heard all about it as ad nauseum. And then throw on top of it our little ban on pistol braces from the federal government. And it's been one heck of a week, not to mention everything going on in New York, Washington State, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, New Jersey, on and on and on and on. I have never in my life, in almost 6 decades, seen anything like this, where these things are raining down like bombs, right? They're hitting every day, every week, every month in multitude. There's just a plethora. Turn any which way, turn any channel on, YouTube, broadcast, cable, anything. It's almost like it's a plan, right? You look at some of them and they're almost verbatim. And there's proof out there that the attorney generals of these states have gotten together along with the governors, and they're trying to push this through. They don't care about the Second Amendment. They don't care about the Bruin decision. They don't care about Heller. They don't care what the Supreme Court says. They just don't care. I guess they care about winning, but in the long run, delaying is just as good, right? Well, interesting thing with the New York case, they went back to the Supreme Court, the GOA did, and said, hey, guys, we want to move this forward. The one justice consulted with the others, and they said, well, we're going to give the lower court, the appeals court, one more chance to expeditiously bring this forward. And then the GOA jumped back in and in rare form, this is a very rarely used section of law, I guess you'd say, where they jumped back in and said, nope, you know what? We want you to rule on this thing. We want you to rule, Mr. Supreme Court. I'm talking like it's one person, but we want you to rule before the appeals court has their chance to rule. Basically saying that they're taking too long and they're just going to do it again. Now, I haven't heard what the Supreme Court decision is on that yet, whether they will or not. But looking at the track record, not just of New York State, but every state and every lawsuit, they know it's unconstitutional and they do it anyways, and then they just delay it. So you put a law out there, they pass it, and it's 5-10 years by the time all the litigation's done. Meanwhile, they pushed it forward. Another generation gets used to the infringements, and it's easier to get the next one done, right? And that's the game plan. So they keep going and going and going. Um, where it stops, nobody knows, I guess. But I sure wish they would get things together. Everything from Chevron deference to all these lawsuits, and just put one final statement together. Shall not be infringed, says it all. No more gun laws. Don't even show your face on the steps of the court. We don't want to hear it. We don't want it voted on. We don't want anything. There's no more. That's what it needs to come to. That's what they're pushing it towards. The bump stock ban is so overreaching with recent decisions and Chevron deference and all of that, where it's and Bruin and everything else, to where you almost go, wait a second, they went further than the original rule that everybody commented on and everything. It's so far overreaching that a lot of people went, wait a minute, why are they doing this? Is there something up? Are they trying to see whether or not the Supreme Court will touch the NFA? Is that what it is? And if they don't, what does that signal to them? So there's a lot of opinions out there as to, are they, testing the waters, so to speak, or you can't say they're stupid. I just don't know. We're going to see some very interesting decisions and cases come down, and I don't know if we're close to the end or not, or if it's just going to be, round 12, 14, 18. I don't even know. But certainly for a lot of you folks in Illinois, you got some decisions to make for now until some of these court cases hit. Hopefully there will be an injunction and it'll stop everything in its tracks. But hey, they gave an injunction in New York, and New York's, we throw that out along with the Supreme Court's decision. We're going to handle this here in our state. Now, Illinois, I shouldn't say surprised me, because I grew up in the city of Chicago, and the city of Chicago, that little corner of the state, is a completely different mindset than the rest of the state. It'd be fair to say that the southern part of Illinois, once you get south of Springfield, is more Kentucky than it is Illinois. Even the accents on the folks change. They talk like they're from Kentucky or Tennessee or Georgia. The landscape changes. Everything changes. For the most part, everything changes when, for those of you that know Illinois, get west of Osage. It's been growing westward, but let's say when you get west of Schaumburg, the attitude and the people and the landscape for the most part changes, although it's been growing out toward Rockford there, where this channel got its name originally, where one day it'll be just one big city, I guess, across. That being said, back in my day, growing up in Chicago, you had the Democratic Party ran everything, right? Mayor Daley, the original Mayor Daley, right? If you weren't a Democrat, nothing happened. It was the city that works as long as you're Democratic. And frankly, a little brush with fame, I guess my great grandmother was private secretary to Mayor Daley. He held her in high regard, and when he sometimes had a tough decision to make, he would go to her and ask her what she thought. She'd be in meetings that most people weren't privileged to over the years, and she campaigned for him into her 90s, out going house to house, up those big, tall bungalow stairs and everything. And I give her credit. I don't know her political thoughts. I was too young. I think she was about 16 when she died, I think. But long story short, there were a ton of people that would vote Democratic in the city, but when it came to national elections, they were Republicans. You had to have your clout, so to speak, your way in to get city jobs, whether you wanted to be a garbage man or a bridge tender or a police officer. It didn't matter. You needed somebody to give the nod, right? And that being said, the city of Chicago, even then, there were conservative views out there. And the things didn't go head to head like they do. Maybe it wasn't talked about as much. It certainly wasn't in the news. And if you were Republican and the Democrat won, you went, oh, okay, well, we'll go get them next time. And if you're a Democrat and a Republican won, they did the same thing. We'll get them 4 years from now. There wasn't all this turmoil and craziness. Then again, the left wasn't so far left, and the right was not so far right. They've created this division, this divisiveness, whether it's white, black, gay, straight, Catholic, Protestant, whatever, yellow, green, blue, purple. I don't even know anymore. But that being said, that's what they want. They want us divided. At the end of the day, we're a whole lot more alike than we are different. And if we had a calm, rational conversation with most, I'm not talking that 2-3% outliers on both sides, but if we got together and had a decent conversation, we'd probably find we have a lot more in common than we have different. And there's plenty of 2A people on the other side. I've met a lot of them over the years. But they want that division because when you're divided, you can't fight together. And that's what they want. It's easier for them to control you, control everything. What was on the news this week? They want to get rid of gas stoves, right? Electric only. They're getting rid of, you can't have wood burners in a lot of places, or regular fireplaces for that matter. Here's a little known one. And for some of you guys that are maybe on the prepping side, maybe you'll understand this. Come June or July, it's June, I'm pretty sure. June 13th, 2023. Guess what you can no longer buy, Mr. or Mrs. Citizen, anywhere in the country. Guess what you can no longer buy? June 13th, 2023. Anybody? Well, you will no longer be able to buy over-the-counter fish antibiotics. They come in lots of varieties, from what's the equivalent of erythromycin to penicillin to cephalexin to all the ones that you've probably had prescribed to you at one point or another. They make them for fish, right? And the reason they're saying you can't have them is they've been overused, radically overused by farmers. And it's creating these superbugs, right? The resistance, because farmers are overusing them. Well, any of you here, I can answer this because I live in farm country. Any of you that live in farm country and know any farmers, there ain't any farmer on this planet that overuses anything. They are cheap sums bitches, They will not overuse anything. If they can get by without using it, they won't use it. But somehow they're causing all this. So you're going to have to be prescribed only by a veterinarian, and you can't buy it. Right now, you can run down to any farm store, Tractor Supply, Farm and Fleet, Fleet Farm, you name it, Rural King, any of them, and you can buy it. You say, well, what do I want those for? Well, maybe you got a lot of fish. Maybe you got a full pond of fish. Or maybe, and we are not condoning this in any way, shape, or form, maybe you want to use them for personal use. And people have been known to do that. Essentially, they're the same thing. They're just different strengths. And I don't know. There's books out there where they can be used anyway, on cattle, on fish, on people, on whatever. I don't condone it. There's other ways to do it, and always consult a doctor. Personally, I don't know that I would down any of them, but in a last chance scenario where baby services is broken down, who knows what people will do, right? You know what I mean, right? You probably all got a lot of fish. But and a lot of you, frankly, if you've had some expensive fish in a fish tank, have probably used them from time to time. I have when my tank got infected with stuff. But yeah, you can no longer buy them. And you look at all these things, these gun laws coming down like crazy, the economy in shambles, and war approaching on all fronts, and crackdowns by all the alphabet soup agencies left and right. Can't have gas stoves and electric cars mandated by then, when right now there's rolling brownouts through many states and we can't produce enough power for what we have, but we're going to convert 80 bazillion vehicles over to all electric, right? Yeah, okay. Look at all this stuff coming down, and one at a time you may go, two at a time, three, wake up, boys and girls, wake up. It's not it's not happenstance, right? It all comes together in one big frothy mix of, and who knows why, where, or when, but boy, it's all sure rolling the same direction, isn't it? Digital currency and all this stuff, and social credit scores, and on and on. And one day you'll wake up and it'll be cold in the house, and you go to turn that thermostat up and say, oh no, you haven't been a good boy. 62 is plenty warm, or 59 is pretty warm. Well, I'll just fire up the wood burner or the fireplace or my gas stove. Oh, wait a minute. We don't have any of those anymore. There's shortages, massive shortages of antibiotics in this country right now. I have 2 prescription drugs right now that my pharmacy has told me now for 2 weeks they're trying. They can't get them. Here, we'll send your prescription wherever you want. If they haven't, why don't you call around and see if you can find it? Can't find it. So I've gone 2 weeks without my medications. Is it life-threatening? Probably not, but what if it was? If my wife didn't get her medication, she's SOL in short order. It's scary. It's all made overseas. In one country, I'll give you a guess. And yeah, but we'll get rid of fish antibiotics. I don't know. You tell me if I'm overreacting, or maybe I'm just a conspiracy theorist. I don't know. Ammo bans, gun bans, this ban, that ban. They ban everything. What does it tell you? If we went back 5 years and we're able to magically transport you forward to this date, to this conversation right now, and everything that's happened over the last 5 years was boom in effect, you would go, oh my God, I'm running for the hills, right? But since it's been slowly dripped and drabbed in, yeah, just another day in paradise, right? Things that make you go, That's what I'll say. That's what I will say. Well, let's check into the conversation here. Maybe you guys aren't concerned or care about anything I'm talking about right now, and you actually want to talk about guns. So let's take a look and see who's here. Hold on one moment. Joe, hey, see, something's right with the world. Joe's here. What's going on, Joe? Oregon Fixer is here. If I'm not mistaken, he's from the great state of, well, no, let me rephrase that. He's from the communist state of Illinois. Let's see. Tex Bullington's here. Good to see you. Dixie Living. Good to see you. Good to see you. Chase is here. What's going on, man? Who else? I could say they're stupid, and I do. M70AB2 with Black Bolt carrier. Is that the newer batch or the older ones? I would say it's the newer batch, because the originals all had the carriers in the white, all of them. And everyone I've seen, I don't think I've ever seen one with a Black Bolt carrier. Maybe they're running short on kits and they had who knows? I don't know. Huh. It's not an M70AB2T, is it, by any chance? Does it have a bulge trunnion? Hopefully. But I haven't seen one. Black bolts are the older. My bolt is not black. No, the older ones, and I'm talking 15 years ago old, were all white. And the batch that came out, I don't know, time flies, 3, 4, 5 years ago. Everyone I saw those were white too. So I don't know. Maybe there's just some out there floating around. I don't know. Who is that? SN1TCHK. Welcome. Haven't seen you in here before. Hattori Hanzo's here. Hey, thanks for, I got your email, and I was planning on going out there and just couldn't get everything arranged in my life to get out there. But next year for sure. Now that I know what the game plan is and all, we will be at SHOT next year for sure. SHOT Show is going on right now. They're unveiling all the new stuff that folks in Illinois can't have. They're figuring out what they're going to do with all these heavy pistols that can't be braced. And here's one. Here's one. So a good friend of mine calls me middle of the day at work the other day, and I don't care. I've got time to take calls usually at work, but he'll call me in the morning or in the evening usually. So when he called like middle of the day, I'm like, pick up. He's like, and he used several expletives. You believe this crap? I said, what's going on, man? He says, I went to the local gun shop today, and he tried to buy a stock, like a Magpul stock or something. Couldn't buy it. So I guess in the state of Illinois, you can't even buy any part that would constitute, or any part that's part of an assault weapon. You can't buy any screw-on flash hiders, muzzle brakes. You can't buy stocks, pistol grips, magazines other than 10 rounders. You can't buy uppers, lowers, red dots. Can't buy those. Nothing. And the big stores online won't sell them to you either. He was beside himself. He's got a gun he's already built, had for a long time. Can't change the stock to get a little more comfort. What it is what it is. So if you have a rifle, it's going to stay that way. If it breaks, good luck getting parts. Can't buy a fire control group. Can't buy a spring. Can't do anything. Lock down in a different way, right? Amazing. Fat son of a bitch, right? Can't believe it. I'm embarrassed to say I was born there and lived there. Glad to be out. On another note, I do pay some taxes here in property, and I literally, guys, I put them on the market. They are going away. I will not give another dollar. I will not step foot in there. I'm urging my children to move, but they're going to have to come see me. I am out. Done. Will not live anywhere where I can cross the border to come visit someone and be a felon. I guess I can come through even with some of the stuff made illegal, but I have 24 hours to get in and get out, I guess. I don't know. Something like that. I don't even know. They make it so incomprehensible. You can't figure anything out. You read it once and you think, and then another, and I don't even know. So if you don't know, the best thing to do is get out, stay out, right? In my opinion. Now, that doesn't mean that I won't help or contribute to the fight, because I certainly will. That will make me extremely happy. And I can't wait for this stuff to start dropping. And I hope they get their tails kicked. I really, really do. And good for your sheriff's departments. Um, from what I saw, it looked like all but two went against it. There were a couple that maybe had not put out a report or letter yet, and the rest were all against it. Said they will not enforce it. They will not house anybody that is charged with that, which leaves them where to go. I don't know. I mean, I guess the state police would probably be the ones enforcing it, but where would they house them? I mean, I guess they could maybe federally somewhere, federal prison maybe, or a temporary holding place at maybe one of their places. I don't know what they have or how they do it, but it's certainly good to see that. They basically all came out and said, we consider this unconstitutional, that they don't have to wait for a judge. They understand the Constitution and they are thoroughly against it. So, and Pritzker put it off by saying, well, if you're not willing to enforce our laws, you will no longer have a job. Well, pay attention, Mr. Governor, but you can't fire a sheriff. It's an elected position, jackass. I have a family member that worked for part of that family, and all I can tell you is it's filled with jackasses. Some of them just a bit fatter than the others, including their head. Big head from Plutertus. Excuse me. Yeah. Criminal. That's what he is. Anyhow, let's continue. 8:11 p.m. Tori Hanzo. He said the bolts are on the older ones. My bolt is not black, purchased in 21. Well, the older ones that I've had over the years have traded hands through my hands, 6 or 7 of them probably. I'd buy one, shoot it for a while, find a nicer one, get rid of it for that one, find one that had a cooler parts kit with maybe they hadn't been sanitized, still had a Zastava stamping on the rear sight block, trade it for that one, that kind of thing. Others I've just shot and shot and shot and shot and shot. Great guns, but I've never seen a black bolt on one ever. It's called the Windy City for a reason, and it ain't the wind. Yeah. No, middle ground has become a no man's land. Yeah, it has. And that's how they want it. So, guys, all I'm going to tell you is this. It's easy to fall into that trap, right? But it's a much better bet to judge people for who they are, what they are, not by political things. Because, like I said, most people meet somewhere in the middle. And on some subjects, maybe they're just misinformed. Maybe you can help. I'm not saying you're going to turn a staunch 50-year Democrat around, but you never know. You introduce them to some things. You show them that it ain't all about scary weapons of war, that there's collecting involved and history and just a good time with family. And of course, the Second Amendment, being able to protect your freedom from tyrannical leaders that want to do tyrannical things and take away your liberty and your right to happiness, right? My collection makes me happy. So I do have a right to that. Life, liberty, and happiness, correct? As long as it doesn't infringe on someone else or is dangerous to someone else. And it's not. I'm pretty positive just about everybody here is no danger to anyone or themselves. And we enjoy it because of those reasons. We like a free country and a free government and be able to raise our family the way we see fit. and enjoy the things we see fit to enjoy, raise our children how we want, and enjoy uh, life the way we want, and just to be left alone. And we don't want to tell other people what to do either. So I think if everybody concentrated on that, it'd be a much better place. Did you see the salt stove meme? No, I did not. But hey, it is black. Most of them are black. So, the cast iron stoves, the big ones. So assault rifles black, stoves black. It must be tactical. They're tactical stoves. I'll do what I want when I want. I live free. I'll die free too. Well said, Joseph. Well said. And somehow I got a feeling that that's how most other people in that state feel, and in the country for that matter. They made, 1/10 or 1/8 of the country felons with the announcement of the arm brace ban. Yeah, they estimate 40, 50, 60 million people have these things. Think about how much of the country that is. That's 1 in 10, maybe approaching 2 in 10. It's crazy. And just boom, felons overnight by a non-elected bureaucratic agency that has no power to make law. Amazing, isn't it? And when things were totally legal for you to own and buy, you went to the store and bought them along with 40, 50 million other people, paid your hard-earned money for them, used them, broke no laws. You were told they were legal. Some even came with letters saying they were legal. And then on a whim, they just suddenly turn and say, you're a felon today. Some of you are felons multi-times over, maybe 10 times over, 20 times over. Walk in it. Well, you can't walk in a local gun shop anymore and see it. But a week ago, you could walk in some gun shops and half of their inventory was braced pistols. I'm not kidding you. Think about it. Every major manufacturer put them out. It wasn't something you built at home. You went and bought it at the store, put together from Smith & Wesson and all the other major manufacturers, IWI, and on and on and on, right? Colt. Who else? I don't know. Name them. There's 100 of them. There's so many. I can't, they all sold them. It was legal. Today it's not. You're a felon. Now, we didn't outlaw them. We didn't outlaw them. Arm braces are still legal. You can have them. You can buy them. But you can't have them. It's really so convoluted that can you have an arm brace here in this hand and the pistol over here and you're still legal? It used to be a thing with intent. Remember that? But they didn't say anything about that. Amazing. I don't know. So hey, I'm going to become an arm brace collector. That's what I'm going to do. You'd almost think that no, I guess not. Thinking about the bump stock thing. Bump stocks are now legal. Once again, yes, they are. Declared by, who declared it? Was it, I guess, Supreme Court? Supreme Court now says bump stocks are legal again. I don't know if you can buy one because those companies were put out of business by a law that was unconstitutional, found to be unconstitutional, and ruled on by the Supreme Court that it was unconstitutional. So the businesses that produced them were caused irreparable harm. They went out of business. They lost everything. How do you remedy that? How do you remedy all the people that were forced to destroy them? They should at least, at a minimum, pay everybody for, I don't know, a couple hours of whatever your time is worth, for burying them, digging them back up, washing them, cleaning them. That should be worth something, all that hassle. Maybe you got a little rust on screws or something. Maybe you lost them because you forgot 10 paces this way, 13 right, 2 that way. Did I bury them here? Your backyard looks like that movie Holes. You ever seen that? They should pay you for that time. Plus it probably wrecked your lawn. You could probably get some money for that. What else? I don't know. Yeah, I was going to make a meme that showed like multiple yards, multiple guys, all with shovels all over their shoulders, walking out into the backyard whistling. Going to dig them up after the announcement, right? Or a scuba suit and like one of them blow up Zodiac rafts heading out to your local lake where you had that tragic fishing accident. Going down to recover said devices. Yeah, that'd be a good meme. I should do that. If I knew how to make memes. I know how to make videos. I don't know how to make memes. So, I don't know. I do not run from fights, says Joe. D.B. Cooper, just another way to make the people more dependent on the beast system. I agree. Yeah, SHOT Show isn't for us plebes. It's for the insiders. I did not go through the whole thing, but it looks like if you can prove you have a viable channel or source or whatever, that you can get press passes. I would assume I can get one. My wife read through it, thought that I could. So that's cool. Good news, good news, good news. Well, bump stocks were good news. Not that, I don't know. I had one back in the day and shot it a couple times. Yeah, it was cool. It took a little getting used to and learning. Some people say they were uncontrollable. I thought they were controllable with some practice. I don't know if they're really super accurate aimed fire, but probably good enough to lay down suppressing fire once you got used to it. But it's like anything. And if for some of you guys that have never shot full auto anything, I would go to a place like, what is it, Machine Gun Las Vegas or something where you can rent them. There's some ranges in Florida you can rent them and try it. Try a mag. See what you think. But I'll tell you this. Once you're done with a couple mags, a couple mag dumps, it's old hat. It's, it's okay. Did it. Now what? I don't know. I don't miss it really. That's not to say that I think they should be under the NFA. No, I think you should all be able to own them. And you can, frankly, but I think you should be able to own them where the prices haven't been drastically driven through the roof because there's such a limited supply. They should be hanging on the gun shop wall, an AR-15 here, an M16 here, and they should be the same money or within $100 of each other with no tax stamp and nothing different. Frankly, if we went off the exact interpretation of the Second Amendment, you shouldn't even have to do a background check. You should be able to, like the good old days, order one out of the Sears Roebuck catalog, which today's equivalent would be Amazon. You should be able to go on Amazon and have it delivered to your front door, in my opinion. Any firearm or small arm you wish. Semi-automatic, full automatic, silencer, arm brake, anything you want. If you're a felon, okay. Maybe. Violent felons, sure. But if you've paid your debt to society and they've let you out of prison, you're off probation, I think your rights should be restored. Absolutely. And nonviolent white-collar felonies, well, I don't know that you should lose all your rights, period, on that. If it's nonviolent, I don't know. But certainly once someone has paid their debt to society, hey, if you are a convicted criminal, a felony, and you can't buy a gun, why are you out of jail? you should still be locked up. But once you're out, you've paid your debt, do what you want. I read something, I was reading, I don't know how you pronounce it, Quora or something, that ridiculous website. Most of the questions I think are done by bots. People answer questions and you're just reading comments. Some guy said, this is terrible. Canada needs to respect my rights to travel to uh, all the states of the Union, and I can't get to I can't drive to Alaska without going through Canada, and I'm an ex-felon, and they won't let me into the country to drive through to Canada. And everybody, mostly Canadians, jumped on him for it's not your right to travel through our country, and they went that whole route. And it was kind of a stupid question. I guess he couldn't afford to fly. Well, with the price of gas today, he might as well do either. But that's neither here nor there. It was just, I couldn't believe how the Canadians sounded off about it. I mean, it was almost like, boy, they sure don't like us down here. I don't know. Or maybe it's just that super left liberal folks that want to read that website. I don't know. I just thought it was curious, and we were talking about that. But where was I going with it? Yeah, I think you should be able to own anything in the bump stock thing. Yeah, once the fun's over, it's like, who cares? And I'm not saying I'm against machine guns being legal, fully automatic. I'm just saying it ain't that big a deal. But I was getting to some good news. I've been talking about it for a while, and it looks like, as long as our good buddy Fabrizio from El Tenda's channel, as long as everything's still on, which I believe it is, we are having a little get together with Mr. Mark Krebs. Boy, it sure would be cool to do a live stream, wouldn't it, with Mr. Krebs? Mark's not shy, but Mark's maybe shy to technology a little bit. But when it's just you and him on one-on-one, it's normal conversation. But put a camera in front of him, and he's out. I think he gets a little nervous. But boy, I'd love to bring him to you. Either way, there'll be a video. I don't know about a live stream, but we'll put a video together. And I want to talk about his core rifle and see what he's been doing. God, it's been so long since we got together, and for a long time we were doing it every week, getting together, hanging out, and just my schedule changed and whatnot. But yeah, I am going to be happy to bring you that. If you guys have any questions or want to see anything in particular, put it out here, and I will do my best to bring it to you. One of the coolest guys I know, and funniest and nice and everything. He's just the whole package. He's just a good guy, super good guy. Let's see. TSC caved on the fish antibiotics right after it was first announced, at least my local store. So they caved in and stopped selling them already? Is that what you're saying, DB? Put in the comments, please. I'd like to know. See, I believe defiance is key. Joe, I am 100% with you. And please, I'm not an attorney. Please don't take anything I say as legal advice. I hate that I even have to say that, but I do. But yeah, the key to all of this is noncompliance. I will not comply. Matter of fact, I thought about stickering up my entire truck because Southern Illinois, and wait till you see, guys, it's a long story. I don't want to get into it completely because partially for privacy, partially for other reasons, but I live most of the time in northern Wisconsin. There's been a time recently where I would spend maybe, I don't know, 3 months, maybe a little more out of the year down south. And that could be Illinois for a weekend here and there. It could be Florida. It could be a couple other places. But um, most of my reasoning for leaving northern Wisconsin would be to go see my kids. That being said, Chicago, all that northern Illinois region where the family's from is in most cases 15 or 20 minutes from the Wisconsin border. So it makes sense if I have a place there. And I even do some work down that way. It would be I could get some more business and more work by crossing the border, but not having to stay there for a week or a weekend or whatever. So my wife and I have spent the last week or so, and we've been looking for quite some time to get a property in southern Wisconsin. And I think we found it. So we were looking, and my wife said, "What do you think of this?" And it looks pretty good, good enough to go look at least. And I went out there to meet the realtor, thinking that I'd just be disappointed like the rest of them. And we got there, and I kind of was. But we're out on the road, and he points and he goes, "There's the property back there. There's no road going to it." And I went, that's kind of interesting. Then I asked him, "Is there an easement through this property, these farm fields and this stuff over here? Do whoever owned these give me an easement to get back to it?" "Oh, no, you have a road. You'll have to put it in, but it'll be your property." Huh, really? No neighbors, like as far as the eye can see on both sides, and just woods and fields and whatever to the horizon. Next main highway, maybe 5 miles, and sitting up high on the edge of I guess you call it a bluff, the perfect spot in the woods to overlook an entire valley, and turkeys everywhere, signs of them scratching everything, deer everywhere. Washed outside of this whole bluff where I could put my own range almost anywhere I want on the property. I'm not going to say exact here. I'll be able to shoot minimum 500 yards, minimum. And if I work it out right, I might be able to have 1,000-yard range. It's like God couldn't have made it more perfect. Put a road in, it goes back, almost a half a mile. And there's a slight rise at the end. Slight, you don't even notice it until you get to the top, and the woods in the home section is down further. When you get down there, and it sounds like, well, all the water will drain in, it'll be a swamp. No, it's not like that. It's just, it drops in, and when you're in there, you're in a giant bowl. A shot couldn't get out of that bowl if you wanted it to, unless you were shooting a geese, maybe. The sound would be held in, and anyone from the road won't even know that house and hobby farm and whatever is back there. It is absolute perfection. Taxes are low. There's a gun club not far. Just unbelievable and affordable. A couple of things I'm checking on, just because I know from previous purchases, you want to make sure on certain things as far as noise ordinance and zoning. Some zoning can affect where you have most things zoned ag have no noise ordinance. You could shoot a bear 50 cal 24 hours a day if you want, that kind of thing. And originally it all stemmed from us having a motorcycle track on the property. So that was important, and it's since changed to this. But you talk about just a phenomenal place, and it'll be great for the channel. I'll be able to once again do videos on my own property, my own range. Uh, so much more stuff we can do, from hunting to just unbelievable. So keep your fingers crossed, guys. I don't know. Like, I asked my wife, I said, well, where would we spend more time? Here at home, or up north, or down south? And now that changes. Now it's southern Wisconsin, Um, and she went, doesn't know, but she'll be able to have her horse at home and all kinds of stuff. So looking forward to it. I might even get a horse and try that cowboy action shooting on a horse where they shoot the balloons. You ever seen that? It's like barrel racing with guns. What could be better, right? You'll see the cowboy videos. I'd break out the vaqueros. It'll be awesome. Anyways, I've done it before like this, where we bought property and then built a house, and it's no quick process. So life will continue as it is while we build a house and all of that. But if I can time this thing right and get a move on like quickly, we could be in by Halloween, I think, or before. But yeah, it'd be awesome. We shall see. Boy, oh boy. Any of you guys ever run electricity 4/10 of a mile? Yeah, it's not cheap. They give you the first 200 feet free, though. Nice of them. The rest you pay for by the foot. Something like 12 or 13,000 just to bring electricity in. That's what got me going on the wood stoves, because we'd be on propane there. And I've never been on propane before. We've been on fuel oil here before they brought gas down the road. Yeah, same thing. Fuel oil, propane, you got to have them delivered, all that. I liked the fuel oil. That was nice, but nobody does it anymore. But I was looking at these anthracite stoves, coal stoves, essentially. Anthracite is the coal you want if you're heating your home or whatever. People think of coal is dirty. Well, anthracite is super hard, super condensed, holds an enormous amount of energy, is hard to get burning. But once it is, it's hard. You got to know what you're doing to keep it burning. But once it does, it's a super hot, even heat. It burns, like if you fill one of these stoves, it'll go 15 hours before you need to add to it. Really neat system. And I stumbled on it, but try to find anthracite. If you look on Amazon, they'll sell you like a sample as a geology rock collection thing, like $150 for a little rock. Well, you could go to a farm store and buy a 40-pound bag for $10 instead of paying them $150 for a rock sample. But to get it in any quantity, it was always super cheap, cheaper than wood, cheaper than any other source. But I don't know if in this area, now I could see in the Appalachians, Virginia, that kind of thing, coal stoves are probably illegal there already, but they got a lot of coal. I don't know if it's available in any quantity from companies that would deliver it, or I know back in the day, my grandparents got coal delivered to their house in Chicago. So I don't know if I can find it or not, but it was interesting. But at a minimum, we're going to heat with a lot, as much as I can with wood. Up here we do. I get enough deadfall on 10 acres that I don't have to buy any wood. I can heat the house free all year. So that got me into looking at these wood stoves and then this anthracite thing. Pretty cool. If any of you guys know anything about anthracite or if you can get it delivered or what, like get a truckload of it or something, I'd be interested. But yeah, Joe, defiance is key. From those sheriffs putting out the statements they did to the people. The bump stock ban. How many people turned in bump stocks? I believe it was 0, wasn't it? What's going to happen? You going to see registrations in Illinois on the assault weapon ban? I don't know. Are people going to get rid of their arm braces? I don't know. Who knows? What are some of the ranges going to do? And things like that. They're going to be inspecting them. Are the ranges going to outlaw them? Or are they going to let you do what you want and you worry about it? I would suggest this. A lot of ranges all over the country, whether they're indoor, outdoor, whatever, a lot of the times they allow local law enforcement agencies to come in and train and do their qualifying and all of that. If I were in charge or owned a local range or a gun club or something like that, if I was on the board, here's what I'm talking in Illinois now, and they were allowing the Illinois State Police to shoot there, I would immediately write them a letter telling them that they are no longer welcome at the facility. That's what I would do. If I still held memberships down south, I would absolutely ask the powers that be to do that. I almost wish I did, but I'm going to support it in the best way I know how, and that's to give to the organizations that are bringing forth the lawsuits, both on the federal level with the arm brace and for Illinois, because I lived there for so long, I feel I should help. And I've got lots of friends and relatives there, so I might as well help them out. But we're going to play it by ear, see what groups are going to bring these lawsuits and how it can best be used. And I'm going to give them a substantial donation. I think you all should do the same. Matter of fact, I will try and get any inside knowledge I can and talk to some other YouTube people and see what I can figure out as to maybe the best 1 or 2 organizations or groups that you guys as followers of this channel can help support as well, whether you're from down there or not, or whether you're from Montana or Florida or Texas or wherever. Reach out. And for all you Michigan folks, if something happens in your state, I will gladly help there as well. In the meantime, certainly, if you're looking for somewhere to send your money, send it to Gun Owners of America. They are doing an absolutely magnificent job bringing suit on a lot of these things. I did watch a channel. The guy's a lawyer, and I'm trying to think the name of the channel. Young black guy. He's a Second Amendment attorney, does a ton of research. And I watched a live stream of his, and he said that, and it seemed like you had to be a follower of his channel for a while, it sounded like, to know what he was talking about. But it sure sounded like he was telling people that they would be shocked when they heard about some larger organizations that are bringing suit in several cases in several states, that in his opinion, they don't know what they're doing and are doing it all wrong, and actually maybe dangerously wrong. And by the way this guy talked and the research he did, he sure struck me as knowing what he was talking about, let me tell you. So it worried me a little. I'm actually going to try and get in contact with him and try and get the lowdown on what he's talking about. And maybe that'll help me to bring you some information too to help out on that. Last week we talked about the SAM 5 and went through all that with you. I told you that Arsenal was nice enough to get a hold of me and all that. I emailed this gentleman. He emailed me back. I was supposed to call him this week, and things were crazy. And then the holiday Monday and getting back to work Tuesday, and this whole property thing that we're doing just took up an enormous part of my time. So I am going to try and get in touch with him maybe tomorrow. If you're listening in here, how's tomorrow for you? I don't know if you're here, but he's going to fill me in on what to do, what the next step is, and all of that stuff. And we will bring it to you live and in color and let you know how it all works out. I'm sure it's going to work out great. So we will see. Any questions on that SAM 5 or anything you guys would like me to ask him? Any information you're looking for? I'd be happy to try. Ross 77 is here. Good to see you, man. Hope everything's going well in the great state of Michigan. And I do mean great state because it's a great state because of you and the people you hang out with. Great bunch of guys. And I love Michigan. I really do. We're, I'll say 35 minutes from the border right now of the UP. But hey, it's still Michigan. I love the UP too. It's beautiful. Just another way to make people more dependent. Let's go. Yeah, SHOT Show isn't for the plebes. Yeah, we'll see. It's not for everybody, no. But hopefully I can get in. I'm going to really shoot for that next year. Hattori Hanzo, blah, blah, surface area, derp. Yeah, right. Let's see. Just so we make. I will go next year. Know a dude in the biz that said he will set up a dummy email for me to register. You need to. I hear you have to prove with check stubs and all kinds of stuff. I don't know. I don't know if all that's true. Could be the industry insiders trying to keep the plebes out. Who knows? But I'm pretty sure I can get in with for press. No reason I shouldn't, right? I've been waiting on done kind of a sign for a long time, Rock. I learned that there's no more retreat. No, there isn't. And I said it last week, guys. You know, it was always compromise. Well, compromise is you get something and I get something. Well, I've never gotten anything back in any of these gun control compromises. Have you? Not 1 inch. So guess what? There's not 1 inch to give. Not anymore. Any new gun law coming down the pipes is not even to be considered. No negotiating. No negotiating. I believe that's Gun Owners of America's stance. There's nothing to negotiate. Stop it already. Done. We're not giving anymore. There's nothing to give. We may lose something in court, but we will not negotiate away our rights. Not happening. Because they proved it. Take an inch, take a mile, 10 miles, 100 miles. They'll lie to your face, smile, and take it all. Just like they did with the red flag laws. They doubled the restraining order time. So much for compromise, huh? Nastrovia, or however choose is spelled. But I agree with you, Joe. I could have been different. Could have been easy, Rock, but it was never meant to be simple. No, it should be though. Proud future felons of America. Yeah. I'm not like a lot of others. I come from a criminal background, and soft people do not last long. No, they don't. They don't on either side, right, Joe? Hey, everybody, just checking in. Another good show, Rock. Thanks. Gabriel Budish III. Good to see you. Ellen Corwin, a gun law expert. Has stories about growing up in the Bronx and taking a rifle on the bus to school for a shooting club. What the heck happened? I told you guys the same stories. I used to take my Remington 870 to school with me. Didn't want to leave it in the car, and I would carry it right in the front door of school in a case. But, the old style rifle cases, you knew it was a rifle or shotgun. Carry it right in the front door. At the end of the hallway at the T, they called it, where it teed off, was the headmaster and the dean waving and to every student, wishing them a good morning. And I'd walk in and say, "Good morning, Mr. Yada Yada." And they'd say, "Good morning." And I'd walk right by him with my shotgun, put it in the locker, and grab my books and go to my first class. And it stayed in my locker all day until last period. The bell rang, and I'd race to my locker, grab my shotgun, my hunting bag, and my boots, and head for, I can't remember the room number, but it was Mr. Bandicari's room. He was our English teacher, and he was the proctor or head of the hunting and fishing club. And we would go out and jump in his van, me and the scrodlip that I talk about all the time. We'd go out, jump in his van, and we'd head out west of the Chicago area to a little town called Harvard. There's another even smaller town right next to it called Chemung, and we would go pheasant hunting out there. And it was my dad had taken me hunting. Well, no, I hadn't hunted with my dad up to that point. It was my first experience pheasant hunting due to a teacher at a school. He'd take 4 or 5 of us out, take his time with these kids, teach us safety, all of that at a Catholic high school, I might add. I'm not Catholic, but I went to a Catholic high school. Nothing against Catholics. Great education. Jesuit. Good education. If there's anything to say about that, they are magnificent educators. Anyhow, we'd go out and we'd hunt pheasants, and there were birds, man. And it turns out this farm we were hunting was the uncle of the scrodlip, my buddy, and his name was Rocky. So we, as the years went by, we hunted many, many times out there. Matter of fact, I still have my first cock pheasant mounted right in the room outside here on the wall on a piece of driftwood. And I shot that on that property with my dad and the scrodlip and had it mounted. And my hunting future and my gun collecting and everything came from that. Not that my dad did get me into shooting. He did. He was the first one to take me out shooting. And I had shot plenty of trap with that 870. It was my first trap gun. It's an 870 special trap, B grade. But I've told you guys, if you listen to the channel, it's almost C grade, but I'm looking at it right now. It's gorgeous. It's had the forcing cones done, mercury reducer in the stock. It's a full choke, 30-inch barrel. Choke's been opened up ever so slightly. And it's got a Monte Carlo stock. Fits me like a glove to this day, and I shoot it better than very expensive Parazzis and Ludix and other stuff. Love that shotgun. I can shoot it blindfolded, literally, almost. I don't even think about it. I've shot that gun for, 40 years. Almost exactly 40 years I've been shooting that gun. I can't tell you how many tens of thousands or maybe hundreds of thousands of 7.5, 2 3/4 inch shells have been run through that gun. And yeah, I use those same trap shells for pheasant hunting too. Knocks them dead. No problem. But we carried the shotguns right into school. Nobody even thought twice about it. Nothing. Nothing was different. Nothing was different. And I still argue nothing's changed with the schools. Nothing's changed with the kids other than the utter loss of parenting and parents willing to hold their children responsible and being lenient on them and being parents that just can't accept the fact that uh, it's all or subscribe to the idea that it's always someone else's fault, not their kid, and are not willing to punish accordingly. Also, major factor is fatherless households and or no male uh, figure in the house to support that role. The other thing is the decline in religion. You put a father back in the household and parents that are willing to parent and bring a little religion into the mix, and you fix all the problems. Without religion, no matter what you guys think on it, they need some kind of base there, moral, ethical base that's prescribed, and community. And that's what builds the community. Even in a big city like Chicago, you go to church and you know people and neighbors, and all your friends did, and their parents made them go or whatever, but you got involved in things in youth group, and you learned what right and wrong was, right? And you paid the consequences if you stepped out of the bounds. And that's the problem. I don't think it's video games. It can be the internet, because the internet fuels all those things or lack of those things we're talking about. Um, I grew up with um, assault weapons and rifles and shotguns and hunting guns and everything imaginable piled in the corner of my bedroom as a kid from the time I was 6 years old on up. And you never thought ever of touching one or showing anyone or taking, never, ever, because you were raised with them from day one. You were taught the safety, taught the dangers, told what to do, what the consequences were if you were to do it, what could happen terribly and what could go terribly wrong, all of it. And you respected the authority of your parents, and you feared the consequences of your parents, the law, God, and all those other things. And kids just don't have that background today. That's my opinion. Take it for what it's worth. You may say, "Ah, Chris, I don't believe in church is a bunch of hooey," and it doesn't matter. It does matter, and it's not just who you're praying to; it's that community, that grounding, that ethical, everything about it. It's what it is. Call it what you will, but that's what is needed. Uh, my opinion, after a lot of years of watching things change. And yeah, so you could come into high school with your shotgun, leave high school with a teacher, go hunting for the day, experience some great camaraderie, learn about not just hunting, but nature and animals and the habitat and, all of the other good things. Hunters were just cruel people that like to torture animals. No, 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 no. We care more about those animals than anything. And I may only get to hunt deer once a year, but I love seeing the deer in my yard. And people think, "Oh, you'll just blast them all. There'll be nothing left." Nope, not not by any stretch. I want to see them grow bigger and have more next year and all of that good stuff. You guys know all the arguments, but it shouldn't even be. It wasn't even thought of as remotely weird or out of line. And you say, what the heck happened in New York City? The same thing that happened to every other city and state in this country. And it is that, I won't even say liberal left. I will say that socialist communist agenda. That's what's happened. Back then, they were fear mongering and the Red Scare, and everything was conspiracy. It's not. We've seen it. They're in it for the long haul. It's been happening since the 40s, and it's continuing on, and they're nearing their end game. So it's moving faster. That's all I'll say. Yeah, my Canadians are awesome people. One sending me a Colt Dymaco stock from the 80s for my Bushmaster clone. Awesome. I'm sure there's some good ones, but boy, you should have seen him jump on that guy. Shout out to Can Surplus. That must be one of your viewers, huh? Rabbits in the house. Good to see you. DB, yes, they stopped selling fish antibiotics many months ago. Really? It's not even law yet. So that tells you a little bit about the management or board of that company. What was the name of it again? Let me go back here. Because you put some initials and I didn't recognize the initials of that company. Where did you put it? Maybe you can put it again. TSC, Tractor Supply. No kidding. Well, you can still get them by me. And actually, Tractor Supply here, we just got one in town about a year ago or so. They have them. And I know Fleet Farm does too. I don't know about Farm and Fleet, which that's Illinois. But here in Wisconsin, we've got Fleet Farm, Mills Fleet Farm. I believe Illinois is Blaine's Farm and Fleet. I think they were brothers or cousins. They split off. But the Fleet Farms in Wisconsin are way better stores than Farm and Fleet down south. But they still have them. I was there just the other day looking at horse medicine. For me and my wife, just seeing what they had. She's gotten back into horses. So I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing yet. It could be good in that she's spending money on a hobby, which allows me to spend money on a hobby. Or it could be she spends so much money on that hobby that mine falls by the wayside. I don't know. But I'm so glad to see her have something to put her energy into it. And she loves it so much. And she's been begging me to go to this new stable. But I couldn't break away from work. And I feel so bad that I haven't gone with her there. Because I know she's excited, wants me to see it. And she probably wants to see her doing so well out there, Yeah, at her age, she does 100 jumpers and she's jumping again. And frankly, I don't mind horses. I horseback ride, but this horse of hers is so big, it's massive. And she's a tiny little girl, and this thing scares me. It's all black. It's like the devil on hoofs. And it's like 16 and a half hands, which is a big horse. And it fell on her once, started to fall. It's got a form of narcolepsy, this horse. While she's brushing it, if it's like anything. If someone's rubbing your shoulders, you fall asleep. Well, this horse does it really easily. It's got a sleep issue. And she was brushing it, cleaning it up after she was done riding, and it fell asleep and came over on her, knocked her head into a wall real hard. But thank God her helmet was still on. And then I went to see her ride, and she gets the horse up to a canter, and she comes around the corner, and the trainer said something, and she turned to look, and the horse, she gave it too much pressure on one side. The horse accelerated hard and blew her off the back. And the whole time she's fallen off this horse, and it's a long way. When she goes to dismount, she gets on it with stairs, like 3 or 4 stairs. To get off, though, she swings a leg over, and then she's on the saddle and kind of slides down, and then she's hanging and then drops, and it's a long drop from there. This horse is absolutely huge. And what took 1 second seemed like 5 minutes as she was falling. And I'm like, in my head, it's playing out so fast, but so slow. I'm like, I hope she falls like on her side, like to spread it out, you know? And she did. She fell like flat almost. And it was kind of soft, the hit. And she hit and rolled. And the second she hit, and I thought, okay, she's okay, my mind instantly went, where are the hooves? And the thing just came by her and completely missed her. And my God, I'm not a guy that gets scared over just about anything. But when you get to my age and you've been with your wife for so long, and she's the one that makes everything happen, uh, and you love her, you flat out love her, right? It's scary, just scary. Your whole life revolves around protecting her and the kids, and when it's something like that's out of your control, it's a terrible feeling. I don't know, but I told her, I said, man, getting a little old for these things. Can't we get something else? Now she's getting into chickens again. How do we go from guns to horses, chickens? I don't know. Yeah, I wouldn't ride this horse she has, but I'd like a nice quarter horse. I told you, I think that would be so cool to shoot like they do off the horses. I think it's really cool. Um, Joe, I've been helping Arm Canada better for 4 years. I've been busy at night, not just drinking. I've been helping build weapons. I would assume with advice, right? Yeah, you're not traveling up there. I don't know. Maybe you are. Sounds like you found your slice of heaven. Build on a couple guest rooms. We absolutely will. Yeah, it's man. I'm excited. Just got a little figuring out to do, and want to make a move as quick as we can. The try Idaho rock. We have hitching posts at bars and post offices. I've never been to Idaho, and it's one of those states I'd love to go to. There was a guy in AK Files, uh, I'll say Yugoslavian. He was there through the war, and I can't remember what side he was on, but this guy, man, you talk about tough. That there's some tough, hardened people from that country, and he's been here a while. He was military there. I'm not sure if he was military here, but when all this stuff started happening a couple of years ago, with the whole thing, uh, he headed out there, and he used to talk. Everybody talks when you're talking about this stuff, kind of in codish almost, or just shortens everything up. But he had some, from an educated standpoint, from a tactical standpoint, and just all kinds of. You could tell he was definitely military and had a lot of knowledge. It seemed like of the United States and our military too. They said it was the one place to go, and that there were a lot of like-minded people with the same jobs and skills as him going out there. That being said, he also talked about Boise, maybe, and similarly, like Helena in Montana, and that the states were quickly being destroyed. But, like anything, it's the big cities, right? That's where they start. That's where they can control what's in the cities and high density population areas. The more rural you get and the population density goes down, much harder to control. Less Karens, less people talking, more like-mindedness, more relying on your neighbor, that kind of thing. And it's harder for those bad powers to control. So they concentrate the efforts on the cities, right? My advice to anyone here, if you can, is to get out of these controlled areas. You know, that's part of it too. Stop your ability to move and travel, and that's coming one day. Right now, everyone is saying, "Ah, conspiracy theories," but like the other things I've said over the years, they've all happened. I wish I had written them down with dates, and then next time someone hits me with, "Oh, you said what?" Oh, yeah, I said it right here on this date. You wa- you watch one day, yeah. You'll need permission to, and when we were kids, we crossed the border in Wisconsin to do what? To go get a beer at 18. Now, maybe you'll need a passport or some kind of papers. And I think in the not too distant future, if things keep going the way they do, if they keep going the way they do, I'll give it 20 years max. Max. Probably a lot less. Let's see. Yeah, Idaho, I would love. I've seen hitching posts and stuff outside in western South Dakota. I've pulled up to plenty of bars out there. One in the Badlands. Pulled to in front of this bar, little rundown, dusty. Even the outside looked dusty, and nothing in sight for miles. It's right at two roads crossing. We've been driving down this road coming out of the Badlands for what seemed like eternity. Finally saw this place, and I was so thirsty and hot. And everything was just powdery dust, everything on you. And we pulled up in front, and there's this hitching post and old bar like out of a Western movie, the swinging doors and everything. Couldn't tell if there was a soul there, but there was a giant fiberglass longhorn steer outside with a rope going from its halter to the hitching post. But instead of being nosed into the bar, it was nosed out, and the rope went like toward the back of it to the hitching post, and it was tied there. Made it look like it was tied there. And I pulled up next to it on my Harley, and I parked it, and I got off, and I had a bandana on because of the dust and the sun. And I took that, my glasses off, and I looked in the mirror, and I was just black, other than where my glasses were. And my leather was just dust, and my chaps were dust, and my boots were dust, and a bike was just covered. Couldn't you tell what color it was? And I was so dry. Even my hair had a layer of dust on it. Like I could go poof, and it's horrible. And it was about 115 and no shade anywhere except the porch of this place. And it was like bright sun. Me and my buddy, he pulls up. And I told you I'd taken off my glasses, my stuff, and I'm like, man, I am hot, hot. He's like, Chris. I'm like, I'm talking. He's like, Chris. He tries to stop me 3 times. I go, what? And he points like over my shoulder. I turn around, and I'm eyeball to eyeball with this longhorn steer that I thought was fiberglass. It was a real cow. When I say big, you have no idea how big. I mean, the eyeball is like looking at like the buffalo when you drive through Custer State Park. The eyeball was this big, and I'm like, and it's just, and I could feel it breathing. It was so big, and the bike was so close to it, and I just backed up, and I didn't know, do I leave the bike there? Is he going to destroy it or what? There's nothing I could do. I wasn't going close to that bike. I just figured, looked at the cow, I walked away. He didn't really do nothing. We walk in the bar and we go through the doors, and it's so dark inside, or it may be so bright outside. My eyes weren't adjusting. I couldn't see anything. I'm looking around in the bar, and as my eyes slowly adjusted, there's a guy at the bar, and he's got a black, not a cowboy hat, like a cowboy hat, but the round brim all the way around, and like the cowboy hat top, but just a round brim all the way, flat round brim. And he's hunched over the bar. He's got a drink, and he's like this. And the brim's coming down. You can't see his face, anything. And I'm thinking, what is this? Another, I think is like a prop, but it's a real person or what? I couldn't tell. And we walk up to the bar. I'm kind of looking to see if it's a real person. He puts his head up like this. It's an Indian guy. And all of a sudden, out of the back room, they had another set of swinging things out of the back room behind the bar. A guy kind of bursts through, and he's got this hatchet in his hand like this. And I'm like, whoa. And the guy's like, I'm sorry. I was going out front to fix the. He's like, hey, how are you guys? I'm like, whew. Now that I'm done with the heart attack of getting killed by a giant cow, a crazy Indian at the bar, and you with a hatchet, I guess I'm okay. But yeah, I said I'd use something to drink, anything you got. He says, well, how about you start with a water and I'll get you something a little stronger. So he gave us a couple ice waters. We drank those down. And then we sat and had a few drinks and talked to these guys. And then I said, need one more thing from you. He said, what's that? I said, see my bike out there? I said, I need to get it away from that cow a few feet. And I forget what he said. He says, that ain't no cow. He said, I don't know what he said. It's a bull or a steer or something. But he said, ain't no cow. So whatever it is, I need to get my bike out of there. He said, what for? And I said, what for? So I can leave. And he said, no. He says, what are you afraid of it? And I said, you see the size of that thing? He goes, it ain't going to do nothing. Jump on your bike and go. He gave us, he said, hand me your bandanas. We gave him his bandanas. He soaked them in cold water, handed them back to us, put them around our necks, and we took off. But yeah, talk about the middle of nowhere and interesting places and hitching posts, you know. Out there you see it, and they ride horses. Heck, we have people ride horses out here, come down the road, down the ditch in the summer. All the neighbors got horses. Not a big thing. Kids used to trick or treat by quad or motorcycle or horse all the time. Yeah, you get out a little further and things are a little more normal. When I was younger, I wanted to live in a giant city. Now, I just want a place with enough property to shoot. My kids all wanted to go to the city, and I said, you're not going to like it. My daughter went to school in the city, and when she was done with that, she had enough of it. My son wanted to go once he experienced it a little bit. He didn't want to do it either. And my youngest is the same. Too many kids want to get out of the great lives they have and try to go experience something they think is better. And it's just not. DB Cooper, you're talking about my backyard, Rock. I live on the edge of the Badlands. Oh, no kidding. Do you really? I love it out there. Guys, if you haven't been to the Black Hills, Sturgis maybe, and I went for years to the motorcycle rally. Years I went out there. And I still say, and I've ridden all over this country, and the Badlands is so cool and such great riding and so many wonderful things to see and just a better feeling place, everything. If you get the chance to go, I just go see it. But I'll tell you this, I've wanted to bring my family out there for years to see it, but I can't imagine seeing it by car. It would not be the same. It wouldn't be anywhere close to the same because the roads are so conducive to motorcycles and the hills and the sights and the jump off and see and to experience buffalo walking 2 feet in front of your bike or right next to you. And to experience I've experienced everything from blazing heat like that day in the Badlands to ice storms in Deadwood one day. I had a hail ball about the size of a baseball hit me in the top of my boot and bruised the bones in my foot. I couldn't walk right for over a month. I was leaning over the tank trying to protect the metal, and I made a run for a bank drive-through overhang to get the bike under. In the 3 seconds it took me to spot it, see it, and get under it, about 2,000 other people had the same idea. Boom. And I was pinned in there for like 40 minutes. But the hail covered the street. I've been there when there was a mudslide right down Main Street, bikes sliding in the mud, like 30 of them, cars being moved, everything. I was right outside the Silverado Hotel. I used to stop there in the morning for breakfast and go and gamble. Back then, I'd throw 200 on the table. When I doubled it, I walked out. We went riding for the whole day. On the way back, we'd stop. I'd have their dinner buffet, throw 200 on the table, double it, leave. I did that every day. That trip never cost me a dime, ever. But that's when $200 meant something. What a place to live, though. The Badlands, they call them the Badlands for a reason, but they're absolutely stunning. You see the layers, and there's green and blue, and I think it's the copper in it that you get that green patina, that verdigris, is it called, or something, when it starts to break down. And you've got all these layers in the rocks. And Joe, you'd like this. And I'll find it and have it for the live stream next week. I've got a picture of me standing somewhere high up in the Badlands with all those, it looks like water has actually, the Great Flood, I believe, happened there at some point, or there was an ocean there or something. But you can tell water did it. Maybe wind too, but water, it looks like to me, formed it as far as the eye can see. And I'm standing with it all behind me. And the way the camera's focused, I had on my riding gloves, and I had a set I had bought because I lost my other ones. And it said, it either said live or ride on this hand and free on the other. It was either live free or ride free, right across the knuckles. And I got the bike in front of me, looking like my younger days, looking like what I thought was a badass, right? And I got my fists out like this, and all that Badlands behind me, and the picture is so cool. And mostly not because of me, because of just the layout of the Badlands behind me. And it's a picture. I should frame the picture, actually, but I'll try and find it, and I'll bring it on the channel. Something for Joe and something for you too, that you live outside of there. That is so cool. It's a neat place. If you ever get out there, I love Deadwood. I like the history there. They were doing archaeological digs there on Main Street. And you think, well, that wasn't all that long ago, right? Late 1800s into the early 1900s. There were a lot of Chinese there because of the mining, silver mines, all that stuff. But the street level at that time in the late 1800s versus now, let's say 100 years later, essentially, right? Well, the main level of street, what would have been street level in 1890s, is now like 6 or 7 feet lower than what the main street level is now, because of repaving and whatnot. In 100 years, we've built that street up 6 or 7 feet. So right there on Main Street, they've done some digs where they've gone down through the years, and they find all kinds of stuff at those different levels, from coins to watches, and there were tokens from the hotels and all this stuff, and from the Chinese washes, and there were opium dens there, and prostitution was legal there until the 70s. You look above some of the modern day stores and bars and different stuff, and the old saloon number, whatever the one Wild Bill was shot in. Back then, you could sit in that same saloon where it stood. I don't know if it was the same saloon. I thought it was, that they, maybe it had been rebuilt a little, but you could sit at the same table and play a hand of cards in the same supposed spot that he had his aces and eights and was shot in the back of the head. And they have gunfights every day on Main Street. Actors, the guy comes out with a whiskey bottle and a 6-shooter, and I'll get you, some bitch, and they're shooting up and down the street at the, starts with a B, the Bedlow, no, hotel. I had a friend with the last name, Gary, Burlock, can't remember it. Famous hotel there. But if you look in the upper windows above the old saloons and stuff, they've got mannequins in the window dressed up like the girls, the dancing girls there, up in what were the bedrooms of the bordello, right? But yeah, that was legal till the 70s. You can go up onto Mount Moriah and see where Wild Bill is buried and Calamity Jane. And I was there for the rededication of their graves some years ago, and they had a reenactment up there. And just to bring the caskets up that hill by horse is unbelievable. It's so steep. We had ridden all day the one day to get there, me and my father-in-law. We had left early morning, and by the time we got there, it was like 4 in the evening or something. And we pulled into town and went right to Deadwood to get something to eat. But for some reason, we went to Mount Moriah. I don't know why. We're riding up it. My father-in-law's next to me. He's like, "Help me, something's wrong. The bike's not going to go." I'm like, "Dude, hit the gas. It's a huge hill." He was so tired from riding, overtired, that he just wasn't giving it enough throttle. And I'm like, "What do you do? Just fall over?" I mean, I'm creeping up at a couple miles an hour, get to the top. And he was just, for whatever reason, freaking out. I'll never forget that. But people leave all kinds of stuff on his grave. There's always like a hand of aces and eights laid on the gravestone, and little bottles of whiskey and bullets and different stuff. But yeah, they're buried there. You can go then to Spearfish Canyon. You can go out to Needles, Custer State Park. Needles Highway is kind of cool. There are these, I don't know what you call them, like stalactites or stalagmites, but they're not in a cave. They're in the middle of this area, and they've tunneled through them, and you ride your bike through them. And most of them are like one way. You can't, got to wait for the other person to go through before you come back through. And you ride through these things, and you see the Teddy Roosevelt's house in Custer State Park and the buffalo. And I almost got killed by a herd of pronghorn antelope there leaving the park. You come out of the park, and all of a sudden you see a sign, "Leaving Custer State Park." And after you've been in there with the traffic and stuff, you're like, "Oh, thank God I can just hammer down and go," So I see the sign. I'm like, "Oh, hell yeah." And I hammer down. I crack third. I crack fourth. I crack fifth. And right next to you along the highway is like a huge cliff, or face of a cliff that goes up like a bluff kind of. And you can't see the top, but it's eroded and kind of overhanging. And then you're down here on the road. It's probably 10 feet, 15 feet up. I hammer down as I crack fifth, and I'm about to put my feet up on the highway bars. Like 40 antelope come screaming over me, like in front of me, hitting the road, jumping across over the top of me. How I didn't hit one or get hit is beyond me. And by the time I went, "Oh my God, what was that?" They're gone. I look, and they're 75 yards out already, just a cloud of dust, almost killed me. I don't know if they just heard the bike coming and decided to run that way, but they were at a full tilt, a whole herd of them, man. Interesting place. And Sturgis, not so much. I mean, any other time of the year, it's just a little any town America. The State Farm Agency turns into a tattoo shop, and Hells Angels owns a little house down there that they do a tattoo shop in. And I don't know, the Five and Dime becomes a souvenir shop and all this stuff. And the rest of the year, it turns back to just Main Street. They bring cops in from everywhere in the country, but they're all huge. They're monsters. They're like, they bring in the biggest dudes you've ever seen. And nobody screws around there. You step out of line, you can do just about anything you want there. You could stand next to a cop with straight pipes and just for 10 minutes, and he'll just sit there and do nothing. Go take a pee in the alley, you'll find yourself face down in the alley, having handcuffs put on you. Squeal your tires, do a burnout, do a wheelie, something like that. Nope, off to jail. Fight, do anything dangerous or anything stupid with drinking, you're going to jail immediately. And they don't let you out. No matter if you post bail 10 minutes later, they don't let you out till after it's over. Back in the day, you used to, the major biker gangs they'd pick a day they'd come to town. And I don't know if they knew about it or not, but like the Angels would come one day, Banditos would come in the next, this and that. Or there was something going on between Banditos and Hell's Angels, and there was a little thing went on that day, but they shut it down pretty good. Then you got the famous Buffalo Chip in Campground, which is by the end of the week it turns into a shithole no matter what. But if it rains, it's 10 million times the shithole. Then there's not Broken Spoke. What's the saloon? Oh crap! Broken Spoke or Twisted Spoke? I don't remember. The big saloon. It's like a big fort, main stage and all. My brother was out there. He works for the rock band Styx, and they were out there. So I had passes for the whole week and free catering and all. And there's businesses surrounding it on the inside of the fort, and then the main stage. And there's topless and nude bucking the rodeo cows, the electric ones, and the burnout pit. Some drunken idiot pulls his bike in there and just burns up the tire till boom, and it explodes. And if you blow up your tire, they'll give you a new tire free or whatever. But in the meantime, the tire blew half your fender off and all kinds of other crap. And I met some major builders out there that you see on some of the shows. And I don't mean met them like at their display. I mean met them out drinking and hung out with them. I actually got one of my big tattoos put on there. Met a guy, and 3 years late, after knowing him for 3 years, finally took the time early one morning before he got busy, met me there. I think I was still drunk, and did it because it was like a 5-hour tattoo. But yeah, it's a cool place, man. You can have a good time. We always stayed across the street from that big bar, a place called Lamphere Ranch. A little tamed down compared to Buffalo Chip, but they got the parade every night, which is just a bunch of guys riding their naked old ladies around. Mostly stuff you don't want to see. But yeah, the stuff you want to see isn't so much there. It's the stuff you don't want to see. But there's so much to do out there and so much to see. There's a couple lakes out there you can pull up and just jump in. In all your clothes, and you're soaking wet, and it's icy, beautiful water. You get out, jump on your bike, 10 minutes down the road, you're totally dry. Mount Rushmore, crazy horses, cool. I broke down on the way to Mount Rushmore. I was out there with my dad, broke down. His starter clutch went out right when we pulled into town. And I had to push start him everywhere we went because no one had a damn starter clutch anywhere. You believe that? All these Harley things and places couldn't get a starter clutch. And so I finally told him, man, the 700-pound bike and a 350-pound you better park downhill everywhere. I ain't pushing anymore. But we headed out there, and I got a flat on the way out there. And he was ahead of me. Didn't know I had broken down. When he went all the way to Mount Rushmore, saw it, wondered where I was, whatever, coming back. Like 4 hours later, I'm watching all the bikes come by. I'm like, finally I see him. I'm like, hey, out by the road. He pulls over. I'm like, where have you been? It's been 5 hours. You didn't think to come look? And he's like, I couldn't turn around in traffic. It's true. You pull out into traffic. It might be, you may wait 20 minutes just to pull out in the traffic. I mean, it's crazy, but a lot of fun. seen a lot of cool shows out there and all. And Hell's Angels have a ranch north of town, I think it is. The Badlands are incredible to ride through. You live in a beautiful place, DB Cooper. Full Throttle Saloon, that's it. I met a pair of twins there one year. Yeah, yeah, they ended up living where I live back at home. I walk in this bar one day, and they're like, "Oh my God, it's you!" I'm like, "I'm like, yeah, I can't believe you live here." I'm not sure if I like that idea. Rock, ever shoot machine guns at Buffalo Chip? No, I haven't. Or did that begin after? I went all the way to, I think my last year there was probably late 90s sometime. I don't know. I'd go back in a minute. I just got nobody to go with. And right now, the first time in my life, I haven't had a Harley in the garage in a long, long time. Rockford Ordnance. Hey, sorry, I'm late. No problem. Loretta's in the house. She got here. How long have we been on? Coming up on 2 hours. I'm glad we just talk about stuff like this sometimes. It's cool. It doesn't all have to be guns, right? We hang out and we have a good time. Guns are like anything else. They're just part of the family, right? And sometimes it's good to just talk about other hobbies and things we like. And it's amazing how much you have in common with people, right? Like DB's right there in one of the places I love in this country. It's a beautiful place. I think I may take me and my wife out there in the motorhome and enjoy it. And worst comes to worst, I'll rent a bike while I'm out there. I'll just have to figure out what they're renting, buy a set of pipes online before I go and throw the pipes on when I get there. I can't run. Water from the Black Hills form the Badlands. Makes sense, yeah. Let's see. So glad I live by an open range. No Nazis to tell me no rapid fire. Dan, dude. Yeah, right? I can't stand ranges like that. Matter of fact, up where this new property is, just north of it, there's a range, and I was going to join it. And I started reading the rules, and I walk over to see it. Some guy walks up in glasses and a hat says range officer. He's got his literally teardrop aviators. And he's comes up to about here on me. Can I help you? So I'm just checking out the range, man. Thinking about joining. I got my dog with me on a leash. Well, you can't be here. What do you mean? Well, you don't have no eyes and ears. I'm not on the range. I'm off the range. Quite a ways, actually. And what do you care? I'm nowhere near where I'm like, there's a berm, and I'm outside the berm looking into where the range is. I can't even see the end of the range. No eyes in here. Get out of here. I literally said, really, huh? To the a little more like, really, huh? And then I'm reading the rules. Absolutely only one shot every 5 seconds. What? How do you guys even train? It's a members only club. You have to pay a membership. This isn't a public range. If you're a member there, I don't know. I don't understand it all. And I get liability and I get idiots. Well, here, if you got a real idiot in your club, then fine him, write him up, do whatever you're going to do if he's completely out of line. But the reason you join a private club is so maybe one, you can practice drawing from a holster, where these public ranges don't allow it. And I fully understand why, because some of it's shocking. But if you're joining a club and you're part of whoever is accepting the applications or signing them in and granting them membership, you can talk to a person and pretty much know where they're at with the hobby or whatever. And so maybe you decide you don't want that person, or they make those mistakes. Okay. write them up, like I said, or give them a warning, and 3 warnings and you're gone or whatever. But don't punish the rest of the people that are competitors in most cases at some form of shooting or another, and know what they're doing, and certainly want to be safe. I'm the first one, any range, a public range, a private range I belong to, whatever the case may be, that if somebody's doing something wrong, I have no problem speaking out about it, and loudly, because if someone's doing something wrong, you need to stop it right then, that second. We had a guy and I'd yell, "Hey, stop, top of my lungs, stop. Yes, you, stop, don't move." And walk down there and not touch him or his gun, but giggle and say, "Hey, set the gun down for a second. Just want to tell you what's wrong here with this situation," and correct him. You don't ever want to lay hands on someone, first of all. It may be taken wrong, and you certainly don't want to touch their firearm, but you want to stop them from doing whatever they're doing. And those type of people, you're like, "Hey," and they swing the gun around to see what you're doing. And stop, no, don't move, stop right there. I've seen craziness, but the other day we were at a store, and actually a friend of mine was, I think it was a shotgun maybe, and was showing someone at a gun shop this particular gun. And I had walked up, and he knew I was there, but probably wasn't all that aware. But he brought the gun around like this, and it flagged me and the salesman. And as it passed him, in this case, he's a friend of mine, I grabbed the barrel and I said, "Hey, you just flagged both of us." And, you know, a jackass would have said, "Oh, come on, big deal. He didn't flag you. It's unloaded." But no, this is how you should respond. "Oh my God, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I just did that. Oh my God." I mean, it should scare you as a, a, a safe um, person in the gun community, I guess. And frankly, it did. He reacted the right way, and he was sorry. And it happened. But correct it. Be the person that corrects it, but don't be the range Nazi. You don't want to do that. You just want to make sure everybody's safe, because accidents do happen, and they can't happen in this community sport, whatever. Can't happen. Then again, if you're following the rules, the basics of gun safety, the basic rules of gun safety are set up so that you can violate one rule and still avoid either you or someone else getting hurt. In a lot of cases, you can even break 2 rules and still avoid it, but break 3, someone's getting hurt. So it's a great way to set up those rules, right? But if you don't stop it at the first breaking of the first whatever, the second and third mistake can happen real quick, and before you know it, there's a tragedy. So speak out when you're at a range, always. Don't be afraid to. Hey, if they're upset with you wanting to be safe, you probably don't want to be around those people anyways, right? Ba, 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 ba. Let's see. Somewhere there's a picture of me from 92 crouched down at a scenic spot in the Badlands. I am in a Joe Camel hat that is now probably illegal. Yeah, all that shit's illegal now because it's a cartoon character. They're trying to attract children and destroy their lives with smoking. There's probably a lot of people that come to watch this, see me smoking, and oh my God, get off the channel. Good, you don't need to be here. I'm a big boy. I can kill myself how I choose, right? Not that I want to. I mean, I enjoy every day of my life. I don't get me wrong. I understand that people get depression and all that, but I just don't get that. Life is too good, too much fun. I look forward too much to tomorrow. I got too many things to do yet. I might even have a kid mullet too. I had a mullet. I had a killer mullet, man. I even at one point had the rat tail. Oh yeah. Then again, I also had big hair too. 2 tons of Aquanet, all that good stuff. The 80s were magnificent. They should, anybody that didn't live through them should be able to go through them. It was the greatest time in this country, and what a fabulous time. Reagan was in office. Everything was good. What else? Full throttle. True. I think going on the road with the wife is a great idea. Yeah, it is. I wasn't surprised about the brace ruling at all. Well, I mean, we knew it was coming, but you weren't surprised that it was more overreaching than anybody even thought? There's an agenda in it more than the obvious, I think. I don't know. Glad I held off buying M85. Why? Why are you glad? 80s were yes, they were the best decade. By far. It was even the music, everything. The music was all about having fun and excess and everything else. And the kids will say that, well, it's us or me, the tail end of, like, I'm considered a boomer, I guess, but I don't even remotely think I'm of that generation. Um, I don't know. It was about attitude, having a good attitude, a good outlook. Things were looking up, and everything was good and a good time, and people were striving for more and working hard, and grunge was the downfall of everything. Not so much. In some ways, I can see that when people say it, but it all changed one day. And that day was the day a guy in a top hat and a guy with straight reddish hair hit the stage doing the shuffle and singing a song, Sweet Child of Mine. That's when everything changed, boys and girls. And it wasn't them. Well, I guess it brought it mainstream, but the grunge hit, and the change from the sequins and decadence to the worn out, ripped up hair anywhere said it all. That's how it all slid. Um, Whether that's just metaphorically speaking, I don't know. It just seems like that's when it all started sliding down. Don't get me wrong, it had been at work for a while, but that's kind of how I see it. It was a simple time. You're right. You're right. You could still make a fake ID in your basement to go drink beer and all that good stuff. But yeah. What are you going to do? In the meantime, I think we will see the brace thing at a minimum overturned, thrown out, a restraining order on it. And I think you'll see the same thing in Illinois. I don't want to say it's going to be this 5-10 year thing. I hope it's almost as immediate as they can make it. I think the Supreme Court is right there, teetering on the edge of saying, look, enough is enough of these blatantly unconstitutional laws, like no regard for the Constitution at all. Like they didn't even look at it and say, well, we might be able to do this. And let's try. No, they just didn't give a shit and ran through it like it was nothing. And then don't want to listen to the highest court of the land and the supreme law and the document that covers it all. They want nothing to do with it. And I think I said it last week, but that's an extremely dangerous position to be as a country. Because when people are thumbing their nose at the supreme law of the land in the court, what do you have? Or what don't you have, let's say? You don't have rule of law. And you've all seen it, right? WROL, right? Without rule of law. Well, what happens when you have no rule of law, breakdown, and anarchy, right? And frankly, that's what they want. They literally, and I'm not talking, like some people think that, uh, the riots that's what that was. Yeah, that's a form of it. But I'm talking a complete breakdown, because that's when all of a sudden the shining rider on the white horse comes in and says, "You need me. I'll fix it all. We'll fix the economy and everybody will be happy and you'll all have this and you'll all have that." And they're all looking up starry eyed and just voting, right? And that's the person on that white horse you need to be very, very scared of. They have the solution and they're going to fix it all. And pretty much the same thing happened in the early 40s, right? And we all know how that ended. And it always fails, and it fails magnificently. But in the meantime, millions and millions of people die. Whether it's because that's the makeup of man or evil men or however you want to put it, but it always ends the same way. It's the same story, sung to a different tune, that's all. Yeah. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. I hope I'm wrong. Like I said, I enjoy life. I enjoy everything and every opportunity this country has given me and my family. And I think that's all you guys want. You want to enjoy it. The only way to do that is to speak your mind. The days of sitting back and, we don't talk about that at the dinner table. Or shouldn't talk politics and religion or whatever the case may be. No, the opposite. Because they don't care. They make their ideas known, right? And they push it down your throat and down the throats of your children. And they have no problem talking about things and pushing them into politics and into law. Well, it's time you speak up. It's time you speak up for the right way, how things should go, and how society should be, and how we should treat each other, and why it's wrong. And not like, well, I kind of think, no, absolutely not. That's what you say to those people. Absolutely not. It's not happening. It's not how it's been. It's not how it should be. And it doesn't make for a good outcome. You need to defy every ounce of that, every ounce of it, with everything you got. And then don't be afraid, because the people say, I'll get back to letter writing, right? Or emails or phone calls. And you think, Chris, I'm sick of hearing that crap. It just doesn't work. Look what they're doing. It does work. It does work at the end of the day, because they hear it from that side. They have no problem doing it. If there's one thing they're good at, it's at organizing and motivating people to push their agenda. And we sit back and go, well, it'll work out. We'll take this and this election and we'll get this and that. No, absolutely not. We need to join forces and you just do something. And I always said, well, maybe we're just because this side's tired from working so much that we don't have the time for it, right? You have to have the time. You have to make the time. Write the letters, write the emails, show up at their office, start locally. States are so important these days, guys. Every day there's a new state gun law hitting the books. You need to go to their offices, find out who they are. I'll bet most of you don't know who they are. Get down there and do something. Do something. Make a pact with yourself right now tonight that you're going to make 6 phone calls. Maybe 1 to government in your town, whether that be a mayor or whatever, school board, something that's bugging you with the agenda. Maybe it's the state. Certainly your state representatives and your state senators. And then your federal representatives, Congress, and your senators. Make a pact, right? 6 calls. 6 calls, 6 emails, 6 text message, whatever. And you're not going to get them, and locally you may, but the further up the ladder, you're not going to get them. You're going to get an assistant, most likely a kid or an intern or something like that. And just remember, don't be rude, be cordial. It's not their fault. They probably don't know what you're talking about. Make sure if it's a law or a bill that you're talking about, make sure you know the number of it and state it. Tell them who you are, where you're from, what your address is, and short, succinct, to the point, what you don't agree with or want them to agree with and see your side. Tell them why you're for it or against it, and that you expect them to get back to you with an answer. I would appreciate a call or an email or something regarding your position on it and what you plan to do about it. I'll eagerly be awaiting your call or your email or what have you. And do it. Do it. You'll get form letters back. I've gotten tons of those. But once in a rare while, you'll get a real letter back. Kind of like the Arsenal situation, right? All of a sudden, I'm talking to a guy from there. Wow. You know what that means to me? It's amazing. It renews your faith in a lot of things, right? That's what you need to do. Just get it done. Eventually, they hear the word. They hear the word. And also, if that certain representative or senator or whatever is a Democrat, you might say, well, it ain't going to do any good. I'm not going to call. Why should I call? They're already, we know how they're going. Do it anyways. That's as much important or more important. If they see it, the most important thing to them is re-election. Let them know flat out. If you vote for this, if you push this through, we will vote you out of office. Not just me, but my friends, my family, and anyone I can talk to, and let them know what you're all about. Make sure you put that in there. Because the most important thing to them is what? Re-election, period. And they just may find a way to avoid it or work around it or whatever with enough pressure coming in. All right? That's what you need to do. Please, please, I beg of you. Why don't you come back here next week and tell me what you did and what the result was, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. I'd like to know. Do it. Do 2 this week, 2 next week, 2 the following week. Take 5 minutes of your day. Please, it means that much. And everybody, I don't care if you can afford $1, $5, $10, $100, $1,000. Go on the GOA website and get them some money. It costs millions to fund these laws, and it's the only way to fight it right now, and they need it. GOA right now is a solid way to go. The NRA guys, I'm sorry. I used to promote to you guys that I thought that, hey, the NRA, regardless of what's going on, is still the NRA, the biggest dog on the block, the big dog in the fight. I don't promote that anymore. I just don't. You look back at what happened, the bankruptcy, them moving to Texas, New York, and the suits against them, essentially stealing from you. It's our money that runs that whole thing, right? And that's what they did. And them not even letting their own board know the results of their findings says it all. The board asks, so what happened? We can't tell you, or we don't want to tell you, or you don't need to know, is what they tell them. That says it all. You ask me what happened? For other reasons, for sure, anti-gun reasons, not just that they wanted to come down on the leadership of the NRA. They wanted to come down on them for several reasons. But when they came down on them and wanted to charge them with absconding with all these funds and everything, that's why they claim bankruptcy. They're moving, all this stuff. The bottom line is, I think New York put the pressure on them, and I think the top leaders caved and said, here's what we're going to do. And they cut a deal with New York to either, I don't know if there was money involved. I haven't quite figured it all, but I know this. They gave New York a reason to back off. Essentially, they sold you out. That's what they did. I'm pretty positive of that. And I will not recommend it anymore, ever. It would have to be completely dismantled and redone. And it's a shame because people that gave money there, we own that stuff. We own everything down to the building that they're in, right? And you get a pretty magazine every month and a sticker or your lifetime plaque. You know, think about what it costs them to send out all those mailings and all those raffles and drawings, the mail alone and the printing. If they have that much money, they should use it for the good fight, not that. And why? Why do they put the money into that? So you join more money for them to steal. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's a shame. I think there's other organizations out there like that. Maybe not to that extent, but GOA right now is a great way to go. Do your research. I'm going to do some this week for you, and I'll let you know what's going on with these fights on the brace and fights in Illinois for you people in Illinois, and I'll let you know where to put your money. But for now, you got anything you can spare, send it to them. It's now, guys. It's right now. Can you ever remember, whether you're 20 years old or 70 years old, can you ever remember a time like this when these things are dropping daily? Every day there's a new lawsuit. Used to be one per decade, one per generation. They're dropping every day, not every month, not every week, every day. It's now, the push is on. It's do or die right now. That's what it is. Get them some funds. That being said, we've got our super chats here. Please, if you can, help out the channel with a super chat. We would appreciate it. It all goes to fund the channel. Also, we're going to have a couple videos coming out. You know, for those of you that came here from 2AEDU, we certainly appreciate his channel and everything he's doing. Great channel. Go over there and check him out, guys. But I brought you a video of the 2AEDU get together, and I think a lot of people looked at the title and went, 2AEDU, I don't know what that is, and never watched it. Some of the coolest footage ever of the World War II Browning BAR full auto 30-06 and us blasting away with it with Chris in his channel and 2AEDU in his channel, and also the MP40, German MP40, World War II that we shot. We're going to bring out videos just on those two guns and the footage we have, because I think everybody should be able to share and see those guns in operation. They are just awesome. They are legal, Class 3, unbelievably rare and collectible World War II history. And the chance for me to shoot them, hold them, look at them was just an incredible once-in-a-lifetime chance. And everybody should be able to see those. So you're going to see videos coming out on those and a few other things. We'll update you on the Arsenal Sam 5 thing, and we'll go from there. But I appreciate you guys coming out. Hey, those of you on the other side of the cheddar curtain, pretty hang in there. It'll be all right. It's going to be all right. There's going to be plenty dropping. You had a holiday this week, and you think, well, who's coming to our rescue, right? Maybe something to think about, right? Who's coming to our rescue? What if nobody's coming? What if it's up to you? What if it's up to you? Because at the end of the day, it is, right? Now, there's going to be some big suits with big names filed. You'll see it coming. This week, probably, I'm thinking by the end of the week. Some might be delayed into next week, but you'll see them coming. And the brace thing is coming. Don't worry, we'll get through this. But they need help, guys. There's so many suits. That's their plan. They drop so many that need to be defended. The money gets watered down. They have 100 times the money to fight this that we do. Bloomberg is behind every last one of them. Mothers, that organization, to see them up there crowing just burns my ass. Don't worry, they're going to be shot down, no problem. They're going to take all these bills that passed and they're going away. We're going to shoot down every bill they try and pass, no problem. And they won't be up there, on their high horse for very long. So let's get in there and do it. DB Cooper, thank you so much, man. We appreciate that. You have no idea how far that goes. We try and make it. Hey, great news on it. Let's touch this. And if you guys want to see it, I finished my entire, let me show you. When you get your Dillon progressive reloader, it looks nothing like this. Everything up here doesn't come with it. None of this comes with it. Nothing here comes with it. Not even the stand. Not even this little tray here. Not the handle. None of it. You think you're getting all that for the money? You're not. Everything is an accessory. Well, I'm here to tell you that I have everything on here and more. And then all the other setups to go on it too. We are completely set up to do brass processing all the way through with a special tool head. We are completely set up for 223, 5.56, 9 millimeter. The case feeders, the bullet feeders, everything. Everything is done. And we've got a monster supply of Hornady bullets, thanks to you guys. And last night, without even thinking, just watching a video, cranked out 700 rounds of 9 like nothing. It is the most amazing system ever. And when I'm this impressed, I got to show you. So I'm going to bring you a complete video on everything we did to the press, everything we added. I don't know that I'll get so deep into showing you how to set it all up and all that, but we'll show you in action and show you what can be done. And I'll tell you how much it takes to do that, because a lot of people want to jump right into reloading and be able to crank it out. I'll say you need some knowledge, but it can be done by a newbie to reloading with a little bit of research and a little bit of help. And we'll show you how to do it. And we'll show you how to save some money while doing it. On the equipment, what you need, what you don't need, what's necessary, what's not, what you can get away with. Maybe you got a bunch of RCBS dies. You can use those dies on the system. But a couple cases, it takes a little ingenuity. Sick of cleaning brass and trimming brass and getting rid of military crimps and all this crap. Well, I'm going to show you how to do it so fast your head will spin, and how cool it is. And it's done completely. I spent a good chunk of change, but I never need another system ever. If I want to redo something, I got to get a cartridge change. What do they call it? A caliber kit. Essentially gives you a couple little items you got to change for the new caliber and put the different dies in another tool head. And I leave the tool heads all set up. So if I'm loading 9, all I got to do is pull 2 pins and a rod off, slide that whole tool head out, powder measure and everything, put it on a nice Dillon tool head stand, take one off the other stand, slide the 223 one in, 2 pins, just drop in and connect the one actuating rod, and I'm loading 223 that fast. I need to do brass, same thing. Pull the new trim, the head, slide it in. It's got the trimmer built into it. I size and trim with one pull. I deprime, size, trim, size the neck, mouth, and adjust the tension on each one so they're the same, all in one stroke. Boom, done. And it's ready to be loaded. So I can run like 5,000 cases through in 5 hours. And then the next night, put the 223 tool head in and load those 5,000 cases. And in 2 nights, I got 5,000 rounds done, ready to go. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. I'll recommend to you guys that want to get into this at some point, start collecting your brass now, because you run, no matter how much you can scrounge, you are going to run out so fast that it'll make your head spin. But I'll bring you a video on that because it's really, really cool. We have done a lot of hunting over the last 2 weeks, a lot of pheasant hunting, had a lot of fun doing it. And we're going to get some coyote hunting going here pretty quick too. Neat. Got a new friend that's into that. That's going to introduce me to it, and we're going to bring you along. So any of you coyote hunters out there that got some stories, tell me about it. It's really neat. And frankly, the reason I want to get into it is not that I enjoy killing furry critters, is that they are so overpopulated, and they annihilate a pheasant population like you wouldn't believe. They're the biggest problem there is when it comes to pheasants. Let's see. Tori Hanzo, where's the beef? Yeah, remember that? Clara Peller was awesome. Orion Fixer, you ain't said much tonight, man. Are you down a little bit? I know, I'm sure you are, right? Don't worry. Shall not comply. That's all you need to know. I'm actually going to have that put on my truck everywhere. Huge letters all the way around. Backing you guys, and I don't know, anything I can do. People need to be encouraged. And while I'll never encourage anybody to take my legal advice or break the law, well, you know how that goes. That's a personal decision. But I know lots of you are ready to make that decision. Still waiting on responses from Mark Kelly and Kirsten Sinema about the support of the omnibus bill and if they believe the ATF can write law. Yeah, right? Kirsten Sinema. Lovely, isn't it? Again, DB Cooper, thank you so much for the super chat. We appreciate it. He says, love your streams, Rock. Glad I found your channel. I'm glad you enjoy it, man. I wish I was out there right now, and we were going to go ride one of these days out there. I saw a Christmas special from the Black Hills once, and it looked as gorgeous as the summer is there. There is nothing like the smell of the Black Hills on a warm summer day. All the pine needles, you know that smell when the dew is coming off from the hot sun is warming it up, and all that pine smell. God, I love the Black Hills. It reminds me of here in the summertime when it's hitting all the pine needles and everything, and I'm walking down to the lake. Same thing. I don't think winters are as bad there as people make it out to be. I smoked 26 Yotis so far this winter with thermal. Said I'm lucky if I get $20. No shit. Man. And I bet they're beautiful pelts too, right? That's the one thing I got to figure out. I got to start my research on thermal because I don't know anything about it. This kid was showing me a couple brands, and he said basically anything I get into in these 2 brands is pretty good stuff. But I want to do it once and done. But man, that's a hard thing to swallow. Like $4,500 for a thermal scope or more. It sounded like to him, $4,500 was like the entry level or the minimum you should get in at. Otherwise, he said it's hard to make things out. But watching the videos, it sure looked clear as hell. He mentioned Pulsar. he did not mention IRA. There was another one. I can't remember the name, but he did mention Pulsar. He works at one of these clubs, and him and another guy there are in charge of keeping. They have tons of coyotes come in because of the birds they keep there, right? And they bait them with all the dead ones. They throw them out there, so they're kind of drawing the coyotes in to kill them, but still drawing more in to kill more birds. I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but make sure it's a 640 core. Okay. I appreciate the advice. I assume you're shooting just 223, or are you shooting? They shoot some custom caliber. I want to say it's a 20 caliber, something or other, really fast, like 40 some 100 feet per second. But I don't see what's wrong with just 223 and a good solid rifle, right? I don't know. So we'll see. Maybe we'll talk about that next week a little bit. Anyhow, I hope you guys are excited about the Dillon as I am if you're into reloading. Man, what a system. What a great company. I'm so glad. I had a little bad feeling about them when I first got into it because of how the press was marketed. And now that I understand it, I understand how they put it. But when you're just getting into it and looking, it sounds like it comes with everything you need to at least start loading. And it doesn't come with anything near that. They made it sound like it came with a caliber conversion package and everything but the dies. And I bought that and the dies, and it got to me, and I still couldn't load anything. I had to go spend another $300-400 just to start barely loading, because then you need the case filler. It's just on and on. And if they clarified that in the catalog, I think it would make a lot more sense. 243. Okay. I got a 243, kind of a short barrel though, with a Mannlicher stock. I mean, the wood comes all the way out to the end. I think it's a Ruger or Steyr rifle, maybe. It was my dad's. I gotta see what that rifle is. He bought it for hunting out in Wyoming for antelope, I believe, is what he got that for. But it's a gorgeous rifle. And it hasn't been out of safe in years. That's why I can't even remember what the hell it was. But very, very cool. So, yeah, while we're deciphering this brace rule or law, and for you Illinois guys, the what's affecting you down there, I just found out from my buddy down there that he couldn't even buy a stock. And I don't think anybody really understands all of it. It's so convoluted. But as we do, and we make sense of it, and I'm positive of what it all is, we will jump into some videos about what you can do, maybe rifle-wise, pistol-wise, this and that. For now, all the advice I'll give you for now is don't freak out. Don't start. First of all, I've heard other things like you can't even sell anything right now as an individual, from what I understand. I don't know if that's true or not. Nobody knows anything. You read it, and one person reads it one way, one reads it another. That's the problem with this. What do? You have so many people that don't know anything about it. Really? What? What are you talking about? And others that they know about it but can't decipher it, don't know if what they've heard is true, what they read, if they're taking it the right way. And people are going to start going to jail on this when they had no intent to break the law. And that's what happens when you pass these ridiculous laws that haven't been thought out, that have not been, how do you announce them somehow? What, because you posted it? I don't know. What did they even do? Post it to a website? What, everybody's supposed to know? Everyone that owns a gun knows to go to an ATF website somewhere and read it, what, monthly, weekly, daily, hourly? What do you need to do these days to stay up to date? And well, ignorance is no excuse for breaking the law. Well, you have no right making law. I don't know. I don't know. I like to think I'm an educated individual when it comes to these things. But there's so much coming at you, and the way it's written and how it's covered, and so much information being out there, or disinformation or wrong information, and not knowing what to think or believe. How do you know? How do you know? There's a lot of truth to them saying they're making millions of felons overnight. And it's not by choice. It's nobody knows. The one thing I'll tell you, I found absolute, and then we're going to cut it off for tonight, but you guys will find this very interesting. The one thing I found extremely disturbing, I watched, I don't know where his shop was. I'm assuming it was Illinois. It was like a training school, defensive training. I assume they did like concealed carry classes, things like that. But he had a pretty good handle on it, or at least he came across like he did. I'll never bullshit you guys. If I don't know something, I'll tell you I don't know it. I tell you all the time, I'm not an expert. I've just done it more than some of you for longer. That's all. But I still don't understand a lot of it, especially this. And I'm certainly not an attorney. All I can tell you usually is what not to do by the mistakes I've made, right? But what I found absolutely disturbing was this guy did a live stream, I believe it was. Yeah, it must have been, because there was a chat like this. And he's reading through this law and explaining it. And the people commenting over here were saying stuff like, well, they didn't name my, what did the one guy say? What was it? I don't know. Let's just say he said that they didn't name my Ruger takedown whatever in there, so I'm good to go. And the guy writes back, what part of no pistol grip don't you understand? The guy's like, what? Well, it has a pistol grip. It's an assault weapon. You can't have it. What? And this went on and on and on. Well, great, good thing I could still have my, well, it's got a removable mag, and they make mags over 10 rounds for it. Yeah. No, you can't have it. Well, good thing my Glock 17 is still legal. No, it's not. Even if you put a 10-round mag, or even if they made a 10-round mag for it, you can't put it in. You can't use it. It can technically hold a 17-round mag. It's illegal. And this went on and on. And then guys asking, well, does this mean I can't do this? Or does this mean I have to do that? And some of it was so basic that you're like, oh my God, this is what these gun owners think, believe, or decide how they decipher. I was shocked, absolutely blown away by the utter lack of knowledge on the subject. It was like, I'm like, come on. If you own this and this and this, and you do this, you don't. Guys, that's why we're in so much trouble. Because there's a lot of us, a ton of us out there that believe in the Second Amendment, but they don't understand it. They don't understand how, why, where, none of it. And it's all about educating them. At this point, I'm so flustered by how much is out there that it's like, what do you cover? What do you talk about? What do you teach? What do you tell? I don't even know anymore. I wasn't born to be a teacher, that's for sure. But man, it almost makes me want to go back to basics. They don't understand, the action and how it works and why it's called what it is. And oh my gosh, it was shocking. Go to any video and just read the comments. Your jaw will hit the ground. Your jaw will hit the ground. And if there's stuff you guys don't understand, anything, guys, don't be embarrassed to ask the question. Just ask it. If I can help you, I will explain it to the best of my abilities. And if I'm knowledgeable on the subject, I can do a really good job of explaining it to you in ways you can understand. If I don't, I can't do a good job explaining it. And I'll put on someone else, or I will do the research to bring it to you properly. But don't be afraid to ask. Don't be like, well, I've been coming in here a long time, and if I ask that, he'll think I'm stupid or something. No, never, ever. Don't be afraid to ask or bring it out, because I don't want to see anybody get in trouble over any of this, because God forbid, first of all, they're unconstitutional. Nobody should get in trouble for them. But we all know how that goes until it all goes away. So ask the questions. Ask the questions. Hey, or if you know something or understand something, or somebody says something here and you know 1,000% that it's something else, let everybody know. Let us know, because we all want to be safe, and we all want to get our end goal done with the right knowledge and nobody getting in trouble, peacefully and lawfully. And that's how we want to get to it. So please, 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 everybody's got to help out. Let's see. ATF makes rules, not laws. Absolutely. Hey, you reached out to a company I worked for. Yes. I just ran across, that's so funny. I just ran across that comment on, was it Reddit maybe? It was like down in my things that never been answered or whatever. I finally deleted it the other day because it had been a long time, maybe a year. Carolina Shooter Supply. I bought a bunch of stuff from that company when I was modifying, customizing a bunch of Vepr shotguns for 3-gun. And I used a bunch of their products and good stuff. I reached out to a company I worked for, Carolina Shooter Supply, during the time I ran the digital marketing side of things over there. I never got back to you about sending you some products. Never got back to you about sending you products, but I'll be sure to have my old boss respond via our verified Reddit page. Yeah, just, I guess, have them message me on there. Or they can go to the About page on YouTube here, and it says something like get my email, and you can get it. Or you can just give an email. It's rockfordordnance@gmail.com. Now, ordnance is a funny thing. There's ordnance, as in arms and bullets and things like that. And then there's ordnance, like a town ordinance. Well, my son started this channel for me, and unfortunately, he spelled it the wrong way. He spelled it ordinance. So an I in there, ORDINANCE. That's not how it should be spelled. It should be ORDNANCE. Anyhow, long story short is he spelled it wrong, not knowing the difference. And you can't, once you have a YouTube channel and it's put to you can't change it. And it was used for so many contacts and everything. I just haven't changed it. I can't. He can actually put it to either, but I'll never see it over at the properly spelled one because I never go there. So have him put it to Rockford Ordinance, like a city ordinance, okay? And he can email me there. And you guys can email me there if you got questions and stuff. A lot of guys been on here a long time, have it. They email me all the time, and I appreciate it. If I don't get back to you guys sometimes, just know that I'm reading them and I get it. And I try to get back to you. But yeah, have them get a hold of me. I'd be happy to. They got some cool products, and I forget the one I emailed them about. But I read it the other day and I went, oh yeah, I wish that would have worked out because, and we've been doing a lot of shotgun stuff lately too. Um, Vepr, VR80, 590s, what else? I don't know. Bunch of stuff. And yeah, they got a lot of cool stuff. I don't know if I got um, an original Ishmash Vepr 12 muzzle brake. It was either from you guys or Legion. It wasn't a copy. It was the real deal. Um, and I have it. Matter of fact, it's around here somewhere. There it is. It's on the shelf. But a lot of cool parts and a lot of cool, interesting stuff over there for 3-gun and all kinds of stuff you can't find other places. So yeah, it'd be awesome to work with you guys. I bought a lot of stuff there, and all of it was good. Different pucks and different spring kits and all kinds of stuff. And our Vepr runs, boy, let me tell you, I can run it probably on lighter loads than anyone's ever run one on. 2.5 dram loads, we can run that thing on. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Never seen another Vepr run on 2.5 dram loads. I tried it just because it was the only thing at an open house one day. And I thought, there ain't no way. And we were just running it. What gun were we showing off that day? Oh, the 1301. And that gun ran them. And I thought, I'm not even going to try it in a Vepr. And I thought, oh, what the hell? I threw it in. I was shocked. The gun ran it like nothing. And yeah, we ran a whole 3-gun stage for a demo 100 times that day. And it didn't miss a beat. Partially due to some of the stuff you guys supplied. So that's cool. Hopefully you got a better job and didn't just leave due to cutbacks or something like that. But yeah, it seems like a good company. Zenitko Chad. I got enough Zenitko. Well, you can always use more Zenitko, right? I've got my Alpha Clone AK that I could use a couple things for. I don't know. Kind of got out of the Zenitko for a while. You know, everybody goes through that phase, and it's great stuff. Just, man, it weighs a lot when you're all done with it. Mostly, well, depends on the optic too you pick, but it gets heavy quick, but good stuff. On good terms. Sorry, it's late. No, that's okay, man. Trust me, I run a business too. You can only answer so many, and half of them you wonder, is this legit or is it bullshit? You know, I get it. But happy to promote you guys because I never ask companies out of the blue for help or support unless I've already purchased their product and I like it and I know it's good. I don't want something to fail. I'm not one of these guys. I'm not a shill for products, but I'm not someone that likes to give bad reviews. I mean, if somebody's in absolute garbage, sure. And I made the mistake, but I always research things first. I told you guys this week in and week out. I research the things I buy and the way, and if I'm experimenting with getting something to do something or modifying, customizing, I'll always tell you the way to go. And stuff from Carolina Shooter Supply, I'm pretty sure they do the same thing behind the scenes because they modify and customize and offer things to do it. And they know what works and what doesn't. But yeah, I've never been steered wrong over there. So good place and good website. Lots of good stuff for the stuff we like at an AK channel. So although we covered a little bit of everything, right? Unfortunately, lately it's so much of this 2A stuff I want to vomit. But I don't know how 2A EDU does it week in and week out because it's just so tough. I'd much rather be bringing you cool stuff. Looking at Carolina Shooter Supply now, there's a Yugo grip I am going to order. I will tell them Zenitko Chad sent me. No, you tell them Chris from Rockford Ordnance Channel sent you. That's what you tell them. How about both of us? That'd be great. But guys, we certainly appreciate all your support. I started saying goodbye at 2 hours, and now we're at almost 3 hours. Please do what I asked you to do, and a couple phone calls, emails this week. It matters. It truly does. Give a few bucks to Gun Owners of America. Don't forget us with the super chat if you can. We certainly appreciate it. And hey, you guys are the most important thing to us. Told you last week we broke 7,000 subscribers, and it's starting to move quicker again. It was certainly the you-know-what that shut us down there for a year and a half, where it didn't move worth a darn. But it's folks like you that are here day in and day out checking us out, and we're going to bring you that video on the World War II Browning BAR, us shooting a fully automatic Browning automatic rifle, and a video shooting a fully automatic original 1942 MP40. We'll bring you that. And a video on the Dillon XL750 reloader, and hopefully some cool stuff from Carolina Shooter Supply. That would be awesome. Chad, I appreciate you coming in here and checking us out. Every Tuesday night, folks, we do Koffee and Kalashnikovs, 8 o'clock Central Time. And check out our videos during the week at Rockford Ordnance Channel. And check out our Facebook, our Instagram. And we look forward to seeing you guys this week and next week. Until then, keep your chins up. All you folks in Illinois, don't worry. Some of the cavalry's coming. They're sounding the bugle now and readying the charge. So get ready. It'll all work out. It'll be good. Don't freak out. Don't go selling stuff. Don't go doing anything. It'll all be okay. That's about it, ladies and gents. Appreciate the super chats. And as always, Rockford Ordnance out. Have a great week, guys. Love y'all. Thank you, Russ. Appreciate you, man. Can't wait to get out to your place again. Had a great time. Thanks, Chad, again. Good night. Orion, see you too, man. Hold in there.